Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Without further ado, so thrilled to welcome Paul Stone into the Joy virtual studio. You made it. I'm so impressed.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Let's skip over, that stuff. I'm so excited to be here. Top of the year, top of 25. God bless you, Shannon. God bless everyone watching.
Yeah.
God bless Donald Trump and the changes he's trying to make. How have you been?
Good luck. I mean, listen, it's a roller coaster. I told the
Yeah.
audience before you came in, it's schizophrenic, right? Because the executive orders look phenomenal on
Yeah.
paper. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
But, the move to these massive data collection centers for the purpose of churning out crypto, Paul, let's start there. This
Okay.
is Stargate is incredibly concerning to me. We've been reporting on it all week. It's not only about massive data collection of the American people, literally everything. It's not just about the mRNA technology, but yesterday in that speech to Davos at the World Economic Forum, Trump said specifically that those massive multiple football fields of data collection centers hooked up to nuclear generators or nuclear, energy in order to run them would be used to churn out crypto. That's exactly what he said. What do you make of that? And what do you think of the government's open-mindedness to this kind of new crypto rage? I know that gold and silver are doing really well. I'm heartened that a lot of people are staying in it. But what do you make of all that?
I make of it just like there was a movie that came out a while back where we got to send Bruce Willis up into space and blow up an asteroid because if the asteroid hits the Earth, we're all going to die. I mean, literally, I always keep in mind, it's easy for me. It's, it's hard for most people. And I understand, I have empathy. You go up into your 60s, your 70s, or 80s, and you're pretty, typecast. Like Tom Cruise probably isn't going to do a heartbreaker movie ever again. He's into action hero, right? And when you think about all the things you've been thinking about, it's hard to make room for new stuff. But the new stuff is no one at the Federal Reserve or in the banking world has ever been here before dealing with a currency that, might be alien.
Right.
And I don't say that alien stuff to put shade on it. Whatever the invention is, but I mean, if you solved every cancer, right? Wouldn't you come forward and say, thank you very much, thank you, and take a little credit and take a bow? If someone creates cryptocurrency and doesn't want to take credit for it, they're not setting up a management company and, all this stuff. It's just weird to me. So this move to put trillions of dollars of wealth out into a currency that you mine from a computer by solving complex equations just sounds like Bruce Willis getting sent up to into space to blow up an asteroid.
It really is.
Save the financial world, to save the planet.
Yeah, it really is astounding. Also, given the fact that we're having rolling blackouts and brownouts across the globe, right? Yeah. Greenland has no energy. And this idea, I mean, the amount of energy, this is pretty stunning to me. The amount of square footage of land that they're going to need to acquire to set up these ungodly, massive data collection centers. I mean, there are a whole host of issues about personal liberty and privacy and freedom involved in all of this. But it's, what rational human being would want all of their wealth to be wrapped up in something floating in the nanosphere? You know what I mean? That can just vanish in a moment. If we have a natural disaster, if you have, it's insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when you kind of think of it, has anyone ever hacked the Treasury? No, the Treasury's never come out to the Wall Street Journal and goes, we lost $3 trillion today. We've been hacked. We're trying to track it down. The FBI is on the case. We never heard that before, right?
Yeah.
But when Bitcoin gets hacked, is there 800 number you can call and get your Bitcoin back? Do you call is the bank? Because I know if my card gets stolen and some charges happen, and I look and I call the bank and I go, hey, these aren't my charges. I call an 800 number and they go, hey, no problem. We'll put the money back in your account, figure out who the bad guy is.
Right.
That doesn't exist in crypto. There is no an 800 number to call to get your hacked money back or the fraud protection, So here's the momentum behind it, though, in my mind. We want to look at both sides. What is being proposed? What would be causing this proposal to come to the surface? There's about $45 trillion that's going to change hands as dear old dad passes on over the next 10 years or so, or less, 7 to 10 years. $45 trillion in wealth that'll change hands from Pop's passing on to mom. The wealth falls to mom. Mom lives on average about 4 years longer. Sadly, she moves on to the ever. And then the kids are getting all this money. And you're thinking, what is the dollar going to even be there in 10 years? Probably not. Is, investing in our high flying financial world going to be there? Are we going to be able to print money? If the dollar's not there in 10 years, then all of the things the dollar supports goes away or struggles mightily. It just makes sense, right? If I had to have my legs amputated, I don't have the mechanisms to walk anymore, right? So if the dollar's chopped out at the knees and it's gone, like they've been hacking at it for 30 years hardcore. That's why it's only worth 3 cents. The dollar goes away, everything in it goes away. So we better move our wealth before the dollar dies. They all know this stuff. They're not going to come to the podium and tell you. And this is one thing I just hate. Why can't we be partners in all this nonsense? Why us citizens who create most of the action in the economy to give these people, I almost said another word, these people a job, can't report back to us like how the status is going, Yeah.
It does seem that Catherine Austin Fitz's thesis of the Bitcoin pump and dump or the crypto pump and dump is happening, right? So the powers that be in Washington, D.C. know they're in a pickle. They have a sovereign debt crisis. They have a debt and deficit crisis. They can't stop spending money. They just cannot do it because this is right. So they have this crisis. Catherine is saying, well, what they're thinking now, what they're being pitched by the crypto people is that, hey, we'll link a crypto to the dollar and we'll trade them in. That'll solve the sovereign debt crisis. We'll exchange the dollars for crypto. We'll give all of the people the tokens and the crypto money, right? We'll partner up with the government to solve your debt problem. Right. And then you're off to the bank. We have a new global reserve system based on crypto tied to the petrodollar, and they're off to the races. We're screwed. We have the equivalent of food stamps. It is digital food stamps. If we have tokens, they're controllable, traceable, confiscatable, trackable, programmable. They can attach it to a digital ID and penalize you if your social credit score gets too low, right? And so that moves us into the new gig economy. This is the 21st century economy that they envision. And so when, what it seems to me, Paul, that they are doing, Bitcoin thought it was going to be them. That's why they invited RFK and Donald Trump to the Bitcoin conference, and they thought that they were going to be Larry Fink is pumping Bitcoin, right? And they want to be that chosen digital currency. But then Donald Trump pulls a fast one on him and issues his own meme coin along with Melania. That sent them into histrionics, right? Because they thought they were going to be the guys. Then you have all these other cryptos. So it does seem like there's a mad rush from these crypto industries to be the partner of the government, because whoever wins that partnership with the boot of the federal government is going to have something that could, the market valuation could go through the roof. I mean, if the government forces people to use it with their boot, then their dreams of 700,000 or, a million, 2 million could actually come true, because they are forcing onto us a new global reserve currency. This is why gold, in my mind, is so important. Gold and silver. Like, we need as many people. This is a national security threat, in my opinion. And we need as many people as humanly possible in real assets like real estate, land, gold, silver, that kind of thing. You talk about this all the time. Am I on the right path there, according to what you're thinking, or am I off?
And a lot of times, like just by example, Hollywood is seeming to kind of run out of ideas for scripts to go back and remake old movies, right? And so we seem to be, what this is, if you look clearly, is DC and the Fed and the financial world's kind of out of ideas. So they're like, well, the dollar's dead. We should probably return to the gold standard, right? But let's not go to gold. Let's go to crypto, because we can control that. The government can't control this. Right. You control this. That's if right. I, got on a train and rode up to where you are in God's country and handed this gold bar to you, who would know about that?
No one.
Right. What if I get into my, my little Coinbase, my little crypto app, and I text you some money? Everyone knows about that.
That's right.
And if they shut the phone lines down or they restrict what I spend that money on, they have so much more control. I mean, it's literally like, like Hitler and Stalin are just begging the devil to get one more shot at life on the surface of the planet so they can come back and take over, because this is the missing ingredient.
Right.
It's electronic, surveillable, controllable money.
That's right.
I mean, it literally, like, you could turn off the air supply to an individual or leave it turned on. You could make those threats.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to trust for our individual selves, so some of us might be going, well, this is America. They wouldn't hurt us that bad, right? And you're thinking you're going to go along with this transfer of your wealth into a crypto-based financial world. Just realize how many things you have to trust to go right that no one has ever done before.
That's right.
No one's ever done before. And you do at least hear and understand the capability for governments around the world to surveil on each other, not only surveilling on you, but everyone's surveilling on you, and the UN surveilling on you. And anyone with a bright-minded hacker team can start monitoring the spending patterns of what you do. Then the influence comes even harder, the aggressive influence. And eventually, Bill Burr has a funny bit. He's like, eventually they'll put chips in us, and you got to scan your forehead when you come into the office in the morning. And this guy, Bob, has been talking crap about the government. And so they turned his chip off, and he's like banging his head on the scanner. Please turn it back on. And he's screaming at the sky. I mean, that's the world we're headed for. So the privacy you want is only going to be afforded to you by real assets. Like you said at the top of your show.
Well, and the interesting component, there does seem to be like a battle, like a real battle between, first of all, like the crypto companies or the crypto pushers. They want to be the one to link up with the governments of the world. And then you have the people who are in the real and natural world, in real assets. I mentioned Catherine Austin Fitts of Solari Report. She's usually not so bullish. She likes cash, right? She typically likes cash. I was really surprised last week to see how bullish she was on gold and silver. And this is from Jesse Palumbo of Bubble, who I really, really like, Paul. And
more than me, or
what?
More than me, or just a little less?
Well, listen, you have a little competition.
Oh,
you have
wow.
a little competition, Paul. Yesterday, after Catherine Austin Fitts and I did our show, we talked about a lot of these topics on the show yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Bitcoin. Literally 2 minutes after that show, I got an email from the producers of the Bitcoin conference, and some guy named Sean, and he's like, hey, we want you to be in our Bitcoin conference, social media influencer program, and want to partner up with you. And I was like, oh, no, that's not. But no, I do not like Jesse Palumbo more than you, but
it's okay.
I was so thrilled to see his name, because he's always been one of my favorite. He writes very eloquently and in an understandable way about gold and silver. But he said this: the US dollar and treasury yields have recently surged at a rapid pace, a scenario that typically sends gold prices tumbling. And also with high optimism of a new president coming in, usually this is when you see some fluctuation in metals. He said, yet gold's resilience signals an impressive underlying strength. The resilience underscores gold's high relative strength. The surge in the dollar and treasury yields have been driven by rapidly rising inflation expectations, particularly following President Donald Trump's victory in November. But we're not seeing, normally when you should be seeing dips, we're just not seeing that. What are your thoughts on that? You're in the business.
Yeah. So when you think about you want your money in, and I'm not a financial advisor, not a trained economist, but this is what makes sense to me. I just try to illuminate things that would cause people watching and listening to have their own questions, or hear the questions you're asking and look these things up and check, against what they find from their research compared to what I'm saying and what I found in my research and studies of more than 10 years on this, way more. Is that if you're going to place your money in the stock market, maybe you're like, I'm willing to take on some potential punishing risks for some bigger gains. Mm-hmm. And then maybe your mood changes and you're like, I don't know if I like the flavor or the tenor of the market right now. So I need something a little safer, or something that just typically doesn't go away. And government, bonds have yet to kind of bust, and that's probably in our future. So you think, well, what's that interest rate? Okay, I'll put my money over there and I'll just collect this interest rate, 4%, 6%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so if the sentiment gets a little sour on the market, the risk isn't worth the reward, then people would think they'd move their money to safer things. And gold and silver is one of those safer things as well. It's just that when interest rates are higher, people would think, yeah, I'm only going to gain in gold and silver. It goes higher. And I don't need the bond to really do much because I'm getting this interest rate. And so I'll just get that interest rate on my money for a while. And then when I feel better, I'll go back to the stock market. The bond, though, is tied to the dollar, written in the dollar. Mm-hmm. So these days, what's strange about gold and silver's movement right now, or unique, is that people are like, yeah, those interest rates are going up and that's attractive, but it means still like being tied to the government, tied to the dollar. They're making all this noise about switching currencies. Right. Maybe that's not the place to go anymore. I think I'll just skip past man-made finances and go straight to gold and silver. And so gold is back about to where it peaked right before the election in the 2,800 range.
And I think the more volatility that we see, which is interesting about gold, right? The more volatility that we see from our government and politics and currency and the markets, the more people are going to flock, I think, to gold and silver metals and hard assets. And that's where the governments, and I mentioned central banks, are going. And so this is just a really unique period in human history.
Oh yeah, this is a big transition. If you think about the jab, the data that we got out of society and governments got out of jab data, right? 70% of the people signed up for the jab. So then you think we could probably get 70% of the people in the dollar and trap them up in some government issued crypto coin without much fuss.
They do think that. In fact, my mom sent me a picture this morning of the level of propaganda, especially to boomers, okay? Yeah. Like Fox News. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, the boomers are getting a little bit older. And I really worry about that population group, right? Because they do have wealth. And I can just see
45 trillion.
Salivating over that, right? Yeah. So she sent me a screenshot. She's a boomer. She still watches Fox News, but she's a smart cookie. My mother, she knows what time it is. She just watches them to see what they're up to. So she sends me a text this morning. She says, I still follow. By the way, guys, pop your questions into the live chat right now, because we only have Paul Stone until 1 p.m. today. So Annie's going to be collecting your questions, and we're going to go through those questions. If you have any questions for Paul, he is the CEO of Colonial Metals Group. They're sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. He's here to answer your questions. Hard ones, easy ones, whatever, about gold, silver, physical gold, backing up your savings with gold or silver. You got the guy right here. And he's in studio. So she writes this to me. I still follow Fox and Friends. And I think Merle is on the live chat right now, by the way, too. Hey, Mom, love ya. Okay, so she goes, I still follow Fox and Friends. They're saying we're going to be the crypto capital of the planet because of Stargate, okay? Mm-hmm. And she says this, they're trying to talk us into not being afraid of it. Don't be afraid of crypto. So they are messaging to boomers. We'll just have to trust the people in the White House when you get the check, is what they're saying. So this is now I don't know who's sponsoring Fox News. All of you guys know who sponsors the Shannon Joy Show. I wouldn't have Paul on if I didn't believe in clearly this is something that I believe in, but they don't disclose that on Fox News, and they don't disclose that on a lot of these podcasts that are actually being funded by Bitcoin or crypto or government entities or that type of thing. And they're really trying to message and, I think trick these boomers into handing over their life savings. It's crazy.
Yeah. And to me, I think you just warm people up to the idea, here's a thought, like, let's say that if there is this cabal that pulls the puppet strings and all of us move, when they pull or whatever, and the cabal really wanted to make this push. And they're like, could Kamala make this push? Could she sell the world on moving to crypto, or should Trump? And then you think, oh, yeah, that's why the election may not have been massaged this time.
Hey, Trump admitted it. He said that Elon went to Pennsylvania and he fixed the voting machine.
So
he said it. I'm like, okay.
You just think, right? Like if you're running the world, some family that's been around forever, the Bilderbergs and whatever, and you think, who can get the world to switch onto a crypto? Kamala or Trump? So this time Trump gets to win. And maybe there's a deal. That's all suspecting, and that's all Hollywood movie script kind of stuff. But you just think every action does have a reaction. Anytime you're seeing something change in course, also be very curious about what interfered with the thing that was on a course that seemed steady state for a while, for it to be able to suddenly detour in another direction.
Yeah. It does sound like a movie script, but I have coined the term, reality DC. And you do get the sense that a lot of this is scripted. And I share your sentiment. It is an absolute fact that if Kamala Harris came out and tried to build massive data mining centers hooked up to nuclear reactors to collect data from every citizen and churn out crypto and put us all on a crypto, coin or crypto, dollar.
Yeah.
The boomers watching Fox News right now would be freaking out.
Yeah, they wouldn't be into it at all. They'd be protesting like crazy. And Trump would be protesting on the sidelines to push his own coins, and Truth Social saying she's going to trap and take all your money.
Yeah.
Because politicians could be for something, but if they don't get to be the ones saying they're for something, then a lot of times they'll just come out and be against it, just to cause attention for themselves and keep their relevance intact.
Right.
So, scary stuff. But yes, why are we moving world's finances to a digital cryptocurrency no one's ever used before, a technology the government doesn't really completely control? You can't hack the treasury. So when they do issue dollars, the Russian hackers have yet to get in there and steal, $160 billion in new money the Fed just created.
Right.
So when you look at the precarious situation that we're headed into, why would we be so willing to detour into that unproven, untested world? Because the dollar's about to die. Mm-hmm. That's what's important from this whole thing, from anyone listening, because I doubt we have central bankers, on the line. Maybe there are some secretly with a little code name handle that's watching. But you got to think for yourself. You got to say, where do I want my money located? Yes, if they switch all the terminals to taking some federally issued crypto dollar, you're going to have to use that money to punch out at Walmart and Target and the gas station and 7-Eleven and the grocery store.
Right.
Like you're going to have to use that money. And that conversion to me would just happen at midnight, like when the check's clear.
That's right.
You just wake up and you're in crypto. I mean, I don't even know why. There's going to be some warming up to the idea. And then last, I want to just end with this. And I know we're pushing up against it and we want questions, but the public safety little vessel that politicians hop into from time to time to sell you on why they need to lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always in the public safety vessel. So it's like, well, we'd have world famine if we didn't switch anyone into this new government issued cryptocurrency, and we can't tell everyone about it because then they'll just panic and no one will come in. So we had to just make you come in. It was for the greater good and all that crap.
Right.
But every time they do that, it's an assault on your individual rights. It's another big piece of the Constitution that's set ablaze.
Yeah. Well, and they will always use a crisis. They will, if it, they
We're causing enough, the government's causing all the crises. And that's what's hilarious too. They wake up in the morning and go, God, there's another one.
Right.
There's another big crisis coming. Look, I got to solve that.
It's just like Larry Ellison saying, oh, we have an epidemic of cancer now, so we're going to inject you all with mRNA in order to cure the cancer that we gave you from the original mRNA that we shot into your arm during COVID lockdowns, right? So they are, as Daniel Horowitz brilliantly puts it on a regular basis, they are the arsonists and the firefighters at the exact same time. Paul Stone is with us today, founder, CEO of Colonial Metals Group. We have questions. Let's get to our questions, Paul, because we have a lot of them coming in. I want to start with this one to lead us off, and we're going to try to get through as many of these as we can. LT Oracle of Truth, because I hear this a lot, and I'm really curious about your position. And I think a lot of people are in this position. They say, I don't have enough money to ask a question about gold and silver. And, I see that from time to time. What would you say to people who might not have, a lot of wealth or, a huge savings account or money to spare? Where do they start in this process?
So let's look at the main objects or the main categories of what a human values while their heart's beating in their chest, right? They value their health, they value their life, they value their autonomy, their mobility, the ability to move around and not have like Nazi checkpoints every, 50 miles where you go somewhere, you got to show your papers. And so you think, okay, I don't have this burden or luxury of having saved money. What am I going to eat if everything goes wrong? So can I get some dried goods? Can I go online and, get some of the stuff the military eats, MREs? I've eaten that stuff. It's not bad. I can't imagine living on it for a while, long time, but I love the ham and cheese omelets, my favorite. You look at where do I live? Like if all goes bad, do I need to be in the city? Could I be a little bit, could I set up my life where happiness is a destination instead of a feeling that's temporary?
Right.
You look at that because your health, your individuality, your usefulness to others, your creativity, is that being squelched because all you live in is a stress bubble created by this, gigantic government and all of its problems? You look at how, you would protect money just because you made it, you earned it, and you got it somewhere. And if you don't want to protect it, you could give it away. But you just protect money, not because necessarily you're rich, it's because you own it. Like you want to protect your health, Look, and don't feel bad because 70% of the country pretty much said that living in this country is difficult or essentially sucks during the exit polls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and listen, when I started buying gold and silver like 10 years ago, I didn't have a lot of money. I had to get out of debt first. So that was my first step. I tried to get out of debt and I tried to get my finances, stable and just hook up with human relationships. I think that's really important. Just embrace the real, I think would be the answer. Yeah. And at some point you will be in a place to start buying up real hard assets. Let's go back to the questions here. Mom on a Mission says, we hear this about the death of the dollar for so many years, but nothing has ever happened. What is different now?
Well, so again, like no one's ever been here before, that same idea. No one's ever been here before. No one's printed, 50, 60 trillion dollars out of thin air when all is said and done. Banks print money too, right? They print money when the loan is signed. Their banks, since Clinton, are able to lend 10 times the amount of money they're sitting on. So if all of us here watching the show had all of our savings with the Shannon Joy Bank, right, and we had $1 billion there, she could loan out 10 billion. Where's the 10 billion come from? Thin air. So no one's ever been here before creating money artificially because the technology, or since Windows 95, that's never really made this virtual money thing possible. Just keep keying in that blockchain only lives in a computer. It doesn't live in a gold bar. There's actually not a coin. There's no Bitcoin. No one's going to send you anything. It lives in the computerized world. So
yeah. Here's another difference. I mean, I've never seen so many state actions on, creating sovereign state banks and opening up ways for people to use gold and silver as legal tender. There's so much action out there from the bottom up, from the local and state level that you can really foresee. It does not have to be a crypto future. It could be a gold-based future. I've never seen that before.
And I'm not making an excuse for why the bust hasn't happened yet. To the listener, what I'm trying to get at is no one knew how long we could go and print before the dollar was exhausted. So, the track is the dollar's worth 100 cents forever. They create the Fed in 1913, and now it's worth 90 cents, 80 cents. By the time 2000 rolls around, it's worth 56 cents, and today it's worth 3. So that's the erosion trajectory you're on. And the pace quickened in 2000 because the baby boomers retired and you lose all this productivity. So now the government has to create money out of thin air to pay its bills. And that's the thing I was always making. If Trump or this or that you think is going to solve things, I know a lot of people on this show probably have more questions about any leader in the White House than fanfare. But how do you stop the bills from coming? And how do you stop the bills from getting bigger? Because when the government prints, the costs go up. So they print more and the costs go up. And they print more and the costs go up. And they print more and the costs go up. And that can't stop until the dollar resource is dead. So the answer to your question is no one just knew how long it would last. But it looks like it's going to be about 25, 26 years, maybe as long as 30 years that the dollar has something left to give before this cutover happens to a whole new currency. Just like the European countries gave up their currencies in 2002 for the euro. There's no lira, there's no French franc, there's no German Deutschmark anymore. So currency change is normal. We didn't know it would go this long, but now it seems to be about over.
And that's also what Catherine Austin Fitts said yesterday. Like, this is kind of inevitable. Like, it's
a math problem created by the government, and it's absolutely inevitable.
Yeah.
Cheating.
Yeah. So, but you can be like, when you are invested in real things, then that is where you can, it is the bridge, it's the crossover. It keeps you from losing everything when this stuff happens. We have Mark the Reagan. How much intrinsic value does crypto Bitcoin have? This is an easy one for you.
I mean, in a way, like none. In a way, like only because people are willing to accept it for something. And are they? How many people? I mean, can I go finance a Jeep in Bitcoin?
Right.
So I don't. The intrinsic value to me is, yes, it's limited, but it's still not something that's human in a way. It's more AI or Android related because it's not paper money. It's not physical money. It's, it's not a check that I write. So to me, the only way it has a value is because it's limited and people are crazy for it. But out in the world where you would finance a home in it, a mortgage, has no utilization there, and neither does gold. But gold is easy for people to come back to because in a way it's human. It's physical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, and actually, Larry Fink, or it was BlackRock, in their promotional video for Bitcoin, big. They don't seriously. You should have Bitcoin in your portfolio. They have this caveat saying like it's supposed to be limited at 21 trillion, but we can't promise that it will be limited. So even so that erases the limitability of it.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say zero, right?
It's like the money that comes in your Monopoly board game is limited, but you could always open up other Monopoly boards and bring that money into this game and just keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. You can't do that with this. This is extremely hard to find. It's absolutely limited. The Earth is covered by 70% ocean, so you're never even going to find it all.
Yeah. We have so many questions, Paul. I'm so bummed you have to. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. We got to let you go. I know you have another engagement. Let's get you back. We got started a little bit late today, but let's get you back in sooner rather than later.
We don't have to wait a whole month now.
Yeah. You come in next week. You want to do a Q&A session next week? Okay.
Yeah, well, if you could fit me into your new crazy awesome schedule at Shannon Joy new studios and all that great stuff that's going on with you, I'd love it. Squeeze me in.
How great is Annie, by the way?
Annie's awesome.
She's a wizard.
Thank you, Annie.
I know. She takes care of everything. It's wonderful. So I'm super bummed we have to let you go, but I know you have to go. So we'll have you next week and we'll do another Q&A sesh.
These questions that didn't get answered are great questions to call our 800 number and get those answers. We don't hire jerks. We try to, we work hard to hire people that know a few things and
they don't,
so call our company to get these questions answered. Email us. Questions more than the answers. So asking them is highly important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paul Stone, you're the best.
Thank you, guys.
We'll have you back next week, and we'll finish this Q&A sesh. You go to your appointment. That is Paul Stone. He is the founder, CEO of Colonial Metals Group. Yes, they are sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. However, they are. I absolutely believe in this company. When he says that they don't hire jerks, that is such a great tagline. Call Colonial Metals Group. We don't hire jerks, and they're not. They're wonderful. The folks who answer the phones at Colonial Metals Group, they know this show. They know the Shannon Joy Show audience, and they'll answer all your questions. There is nothing off limits.